till showtime. Enjoy the weekend with your family. And worship at the church of your choice this weekend. Now, only 1 minute till showtime. For your convenience, the refreshment stand will remain open during the show. Ladies and gentlemen, time for the show. Once again, thank you for coming to our theater tonight. Have an enjoyable evening. The refreshment stand will remain open for a short time. Still plenty of time to get a snack or cold drink. We'll make an announcement before the stand closes to give you plenty of time to get that last-minute treat. Now, only 2 minutes till show.
I almost did it flawlessly that time. Hi, everybody. Welcome to MK Monday. I am Evan Baumgardner from Elliott Bay Hypnosis in Seattle, Washington, board-certified hypnotist and hypnosis trainer. And today I want to talk about a subject that's very personal to me. And if you're watching this, especially if you found me on YouTube, then it's probably something that's personal to you too. And that is dealing with Bell's palsy and synkinesis. So facial paralysis, for those of you that aren't aware. Now, if you're watching this and you've had it and that's how you found this video, then I don't need to tell you how hard it is. And that's not even just dealing with doctors trying to get people to take you seriously about it, because it gets treated like it is strictly a cosmetic thing. And, for a large part of it, it is, obviously. I mean, it affects our face. That's the first thing people see about us. But the impact of it goes so much deeper than just the cosmetic issue. And I'm not talking about the stuff that they don't tell you about, of how if it turns into synkinesis in the muscle groups because it's pulling in the wrong direction, can create back problems, can create dental problems and jaw problems as the muscles slowly begin to move your jaw out of alignment. Speaking problems, it affects us in different ways, and not just, that appearance when we look at ourselves in photos or in the mirror and remember when we used to be more symmetrical. And I know when it happened to me, I was freaked out. And this was about almost 10 years ago now. I had no idea what was happening. I'm glad it wasn't a stroke, but it happened and it just progressively got worse. It seemed like my eye was blinking slower and then it just froze. So I go to the emergency room and they're like, "Oh, well, it's Bell's palsy here, meds and everything, and it'll be, 2 weeks usually, and everything goes back to normal." Well, all the time that they gave me, it came and went. Things didn't go back to normal. They stayed just as they were, basically. I got some movement back. I could blink again, but it was still obviously very much not the same. And I remember after a few months of this and being like, I'm going to live life, even though it was very uncomfortable for me to like go out, especially if I was like eating in public. Absolutely hated that. Still hate that. Um, but I remember going to a bar for happy hour and just being like, I'm gonna relax. And the bartender looking at me, seeing like my crooked face, and he had this expression of like, should I be serving this guy? Is he okay? And I'm like, I just got here, man. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? Forget it. This isn't worth it. I've had a good run. And I went home and I didn't go back outside. And that anxiety I felt about being seen out in public kept getting worse. And it got to the point where I would have panic attacks going outside. I had certain places I felt okay going to. I could still go to the grocery store, but I would go late at night when I knew there wasn't going to be anybody around. And I just avoided everything. I completely shut down. And I became agoraphobic. And I remember being at this point where I'm like, something needs to change. This isn't who I am, and I cannot keep living like this. So I went to the doctor, and I'm like, yeah, I need something here. I need, I was hoping just for a therapist. Like give me a referral so I can talk about what I'm feeling. And they were absolutely no help. And the doctor was like, "Well, no, nothing can be done. We'll give you antidepressants." I'm like, I don't want antidepressants. I'm not depressed. Well, you came in saying that you were depressed. I'm like, yeah, it's situational though. It's about this. It's not a clinical depression. I was bummed, and I was depressed, but it wasn't my standard baseline of operation, right? Like, you would have with clinical depression. And all he wanted to do was give me pills that wouldn't really work, wouldn't change anything for me, and would have side effects that I found completely unacceptable. I'm like, my anxiety was through the roof, and that was what I needed help with, so I could stand to go back outside, so I could stand to go be in the world. And like when I had panic attacks before, and it was years before this was the last time I had anything, they gave me Xanax and it worked like a charm. Where if I felt it happen, boom, pop one, normalize, I could go about my business. It was the escape hatch. And they're like, well, no, I'm not going to give you that because it can be habit forming. I'm like, okay, fair enough. I hear you. I don't have any sort of history of substance abuse or drug abuse in my chart. That's not who I am. This is what has worked for me in the past, documented. So why not do the thing that worked? Absolutely refuse to. So I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I was a freelance writer. I worked from home. I didn't have to go out. I'm an introvert. I like my alone time anyway. So I'm just like, I had a good run, whatever. But it kept getting to me. And it kept getting harder and harder to do anything that I enjoyed, to go anywhere. And my anxiety was so bad. I was at the point where I have no idea what to do about this. Nothing is helping. Therapy was no help. The doctor was no help. What am I going to do? I went to a hypnotist. I had no experience with hypnosis at that point. I had no idea if it would work or not, but it helped me. And from there, I was able to start going to Sounders games again, slowly start taking my life back. And that was my introduction to hypnosis. And when I decided to become a hypnotist, I had two things I wanted to accomplish. One, I wanted to help people with anxiety because that had plagued me for so long, even before I had Bell's palsy and synkinesis, and that turned into agoraphobia. I had dealt with anxiety since my freshman year in college when I had my first panic attack and I had no idea what was going on. So having a natural way that I could help people never have to feel what I feel, not have to go through what I went through and give up so much of my life to it, that was important to me. And the second thing was maybe, just maybe, I can do something about my face that doctors said couldn't be done. And I thought this because Milton Erickson, the father of modern hypnotherapy, the greatest hypnotist that ever lived, he had polio and he was told he was never going to walk again. He was just going to be paralyzed. And through self-hypnosis, he was able to beat it and walk again. And like I say, greatest hypnotist of all time. He's still studied and people try to figure out how he was able to do some of the things that he did with his clients. But if he could do it, that meant there was a chance. There was some sort of way that I could impact things physically with hypnosis, with the power of the mind and suggestion. I had a bit of skepticism on that. The emotional part, I know how that works. I spent all day helping people with that. I absolutely love it. It's incredibly important. And it's really what drives a lot. But when it came to actual physical impacts, I didn't know. And it wasn't until a couple years ago at a hypnosis conference, I learned that a technique that I had been using for emotional issues actually helped me physically. It helped loosen up my facial muscles when they were tight because of all the cold and the air conditioning. They were really tightening up. And I got relief from that. And I'm like, oh, well, here's my way in. How far can I go with this? I had to think about it, because there was a part of me that still wasn't sure of how I could actually go about physical changes. And there is no guarantee on it. So I wanted to make things as bulletproof as I possibly could. So I went, tried things out on myself, self-hypnosis, visualization here and there, but I'm more about emotional processing than I am physical, and I'm not the best at actually visualizing a picture right away. Some people are really good at that. I'm not. I'm a terrific hypnotist. I can guide you into it, but that's why I like to work kind of content free and more direct, so I don't have to bring up imagery as much. But then I started doing parts work, and I just decided I'm going to talk to the part of my subconscious that controls these muscles here in my face. And I'm going to ask it, hey, can you put everything back the way it was? And then I changed the wording a little bit because I wasn't too happy with that. But I'm like, make it so it's symmetrical with the other side, and to regain the function that I'd lost in my mouth. So the muscles weren't pulling down on my eye as much. And I did this every day for a week. And I'm like, I'm looking a little more symmetrical. And then it happened. And it absolutely blew my mind. And to this day, it still does. But I was able to whistle for the first time in 8 years. I wasn't able to do that until I started doing hypnosis for my Bell's palsy, for my synkinesis. And I got that back. And I couldn't believe it when it happened. I grabbed my phone, I took a video of it, and I had tears coming to my eyes. I was so happy. I was so grateful that this was working for me. And since then, I've continued to regain symmetry, regain movement. I'm not 100% yet. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I'm doing it. And that was one of the things that made me hesitant about talking about, oh yeah, you can use hypnosis for Bell's palsy, because what are the goals? What are we going for? If it's purely just restoring that in the face, well, I can't guarantee that. I can't tell you this is going to work. You might see results. Maybe you'll see them fast. Maybe you'll see it immediately. Maybe some people will get that 100% right away. Maybe some people won't. And I mean, that's true with working with any issue with hypnosis. But when I thought about it, because this was a passion of mine, and I was thinking about, before I really started the parts work, before I started seeing those results, I had to process a lot of emotions around it. And just to show you, this is the emotional scale. And I use this a lot. So down at the bottom of the scale, we have apathy, grief, and fear. And these are inward energies. They're heavy. When we feel that, when we feel anxiety and that fear, it's a heavier thing. When we feel the apathy around what's the point? Why even bother? It's a heavy, oppressive feeling, and it's directed inward. As we go up, we get into lust, or wanting, anger, and pride. These are outward pushing energies. It's a lot of like get things done kind of things. And it can be very powerful, very motivating. And none of these are good or bad. I always need to reiterate that. We don't want to place any value judgments on these because we're hardwired to feel them. There's an evolutionary reason we feel these things. So they're not good or bad, they just are. And anger can be a motivator. And once we get past that, we get into this top area of courage, acceptance, love, and peace. And that's where we're more in flow. We're not wanting, we've chosen, and now we are being the way we want to be. And we're putting that out into the world. And it's a really good place to be. Now, we're constantly cycling through these. I like to say, we can have a baseline somewhere in here and different areas of our lives. In one area, we could have a baseline at pride. In another area, we could be down in apathy. And another area, up in peace and love. And that's fine. Overall, the goal is to have that baseline set at courage and above, be there about 80% of the time if we're releasing on things. And for me, when it came to Bell's palsy, I had a lot of fear. I had more than that, I had a lot of want. I really wanted it to work. I wanted to change it. I still do. I still have more releasing to do on this. I'm not done. We're never done growing personally. Like trees never stop growing, right? But I had to sit with these feelings. I had to welcome what I was feeling about it. I had to accept it. Like, what if I can't change things for myself? Does that mean I can't help other people feel better? No. Does it matter to me if I can't do it for myself? Will that stop me from being able to help other people? No. And as I sat with that stuff, I let it go. I thought about the sadness. I thought about, well, what if it doesn't work? All of that fear, apathy, grief that I felt surrounding it. And I was able to let it go. And I'm just like, I went up to pride real quick where I'm like, no, I help people all the time. I help people feel better. And I can help people feel better with this. And then I went up into courage to actually start putting it out there and being like, this is something that can help us deal with Bell's palsy, deal with synkinesis, deal with the anxiety, deal with the depression, the grief that comes with it, the grief that comes with losing our ability to properly non-verbally communicate when our face doesn't work properly. Dealing with the anger that comes with that. I help people with all of those. I help myself with that. So why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I put this out there to work with Bell's palsy? And then as I got that courage to really look at myself and focus on it and work on it, and I let the want go, I let this attachment to the outcome go, that was when I started seeing results. And I have been improving ever since. And I'm not going for huge changes physically, just 1% at a time. But it has made a huge difference in the time I've been doing this. So the following year, I was right back at that same convention giving a talk on Bell's palsy and how hypnosis can help. And and there is that physical aspect. That's what interests people the most. It can help. We can do hypnotic Botox procedures. There are all sorts of things. The mind is so powerful, and we really underestimate what we can do with it. But, I know to a lot of people, that's kind of out there stuff. There are no studies for it. There's nothing backing it up. I'm here telling you my personal experience and what I've done and my professional focus on this. But it's not a given, right? But where there is scientific evidence backing up hypnosis, the benefits of hypnosis is with stress reduction, especially. That is one of the best applications of hypnosis. And when you think about Bell's palsy, when it happens, I know everybody I've talked to that's had it, I've seen countless things. When it happened to them, they were under a tremendous amount of stress. And not just mental stress, but there's also an element of physical stress in there too. A lot of women who are pregnant and going through childbirth, Bell's palsy will happen to them. And when you think about that, there is the human body during pregnancy and childbirth is under so much stress, absolutely tremendous amount, both emotionally and physically. And that's going to drain us. That there's no denying the effect stress has on us physically. It's not just something in our head. It impacts our bodies too. It impacts our energy levels. It impacts our immune system. It has all these cascading effects. So pregnancy, childbirth, the body is under a ton of physical stress as a new life is growing inside of it. The mental stress of I'm creating a new life and bringing it into the world is immense. So you've got those two things. For me, obviously, I wasn't going through childbirth, but I had a bunch of deadlines. It was right before the holidays. Holidays always a stressful time, right? It increases our mental emotional stress. I had work stress. I didn't feel like I had enough time or energy. I was trying to get everything done before my family came to visit, have everything ready for them, and have all my work completed before deadlines. So I was not sleeping very much. I was burning the candle at both ends. I was emotionally and physically fatigued. And I'm hunched over my computer. I'm like, oh, I'm sitting in chairs weird, just to keep working, to keep getting things done so I could do it. And that was when I noticed one day I woke up and I had this terrible pain in my neck and kind of a headache right back there behind my ear, where that cranial nerve is. And it was there for days. And then I got more stressed out because this was impacting me so much. I wasn't hitting my daily goals for what I was trying to get done, in a certain amount of time. And then the day it turned into actual Bell's palsy, the day my face froze, that was the day I woke up and the pain just was gone. And I'm like, oh, great. Here I'm thinking I had just been sleeping wrong. It had been because of the poor posture I was having. But no, there was something else going on there. And that was just the appetizer And now the main event was starting. But that was a very stressful period of time. So everybody I talked to was under a lot of stress. Now, back then, there was no proven link between stress and Bell's palsy. And I remember talking to my neurologist, completely dismissed it out of hand, saying, there's no link. And I'm like, well, that seems weird. I mean, so many people would talk about it, about the immense amount of stress they were under. And I knew I was there, and there was all like the people going through the stress of pregnancy and childbirth that would have it. You would think that there would be more of a link there, but I could also see how that'd be hard to prove in a lab. So even though doctors denied it, just threw that out, nope, absolutely not, nothing to do with stress, I didn't believe it. Funny thing is, in 2019, I believe it was October 2019, maybe November, it was shortly before a certain something happened that, disrupted all our lives for a few years. Harvard Medical published a paper that proved that there was, in fact, a link between stress and Bell's palsy. And stress officially became one of the causes of Bell's palsy. So, but it wasn't until 2019. I felt vindicated. I was very happy about that. And that's something hypnosis helps with a ton. And I think if we all had better stress management, we could prevent Bell's palsy, prevent other conditions from happening if we're letting it go instead of hanging on to it and letting it drain us. So that's one of the ways, non-physically, hypnosis helps with the Bell's palsy. The other way that's scientifically backed up is they've shown studies where doing hypnosis, self-hypnosis, it improves recovery time from illnesses and surgeries. So we can stimulate our immune system. We can stimulate healing in the brain using hypnosis. And at the end of the day, that's essentially what I'm doing, right? I mean, technically it's healed. It just put everything back wrong. I always make the joke, it's like in the Goonies when the kids are messing around, they break the statue and then they glue it back together wrong. And it's like, hey, that's mom's favorite piece. She's going to notice. That's what it's like with synkinesis. It's healed, but it's like something that had been broken and glued back together incorrectly. Or you can still tell that it's not the way it was. But hypnosis can help us promote healing. So after surgeries, recovery times have gone quicker with people that have done hypnosis and self-hypnosis for it. So there is a lot that we can do to improve the quality of our lives when dealing with synkinesis, when dealing with Bell's palsy, that isn't just about the physical cosmetic part, even though I know that's something that we all want. Right? But there's so much more to it than that, especially when we get into those emotions that are associated with it and feeling better about where we're at and not having that fear of being in photos, of being embarrassed, being ashamed of who we are. We can let that go. And it doesn't matter if we get back to 100% or not, because we can be just as happy with ourselves as we are, whether or not we got 100% recovery. As great as that would be, we can be just as happy. And I think that is important, is that acceptance. Not resignation, but truly accepting and truly taking back the power over our lives away from all of this. When we do that, there's that different kind of energy behind it. And I think we just start healing naturally, just puts it back. But again, as we can love ourselves without anything changing physically. And that is more important, I think, than 100% recovery. But either way, whatever we're doing improves our lives. So that is today's live stream on Bell's Palsy and Synkinesis. If you've stuck around this long, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, follow, share, all of that good stuff. And stick around for more. Leave a comment and let me know what your experience with Bell's palsy has been like. Let me know if you've ever tried hypnosis for your Bell's palsy and what that's been like, if you're still doing it, if you're doing self-hypnosis to help with it. But you know what? I got one more thing before we go. And this is a little technique that helped me, and hopefully it'll help you. So right now, if you're ready, what I'd like you to do is just get comfortable wherever you're sitting. Get a little more comfortable. 2, plant your feet flat on the floor. If your legs are up, that's fine too, just as long as they're not crossed. Just put your arms to the side. Just relax. Get relaxed. Get nice and comfortable. And as you get comfortable, what I'd like you to do is I want you to think about Bell's palsy. I want you to think about what is the thing that bothers you the most. The part of it that's giving you the most discomfort right now. Maybe it's your muscles are feeling tight and lopsided and it's uncomfortable. If it is, think about that. Focus on that feeling. Maybe it's an emotional thing. And if it's that, focus on that. Focus on the emotions, those uncomfortable emotions, the heaviness, the apathy, the grief, the fear, the anger, any of those. All of those. Or the stiffness, or the discomfort physically. I want you to focus on whatever it is that you're focusing on now. Any of those. And I want you to just notice how it feels in your body. And give it a number between 1 and 10 on how much discomfort it is. How much discomfort that's creating for you right now. 1 is barely noticeable. 10 is off the charts. Maybe I should go to a doctor if it's 10. Contact a mental health professional if it's an emotional 10. But just focus on that. Think about it. Notice it. Give it that number. And I want you to just notice where it is in your body. Notice wherever you feel that. If it's in your face, if it's somewhere else, if it's in your chest, if it's in your neck, if it's in your shoulder, just wherever your subconscious says that whatever the thing you're focusing on is located, just notice that and just focus on that and just allow yourself to feel it wherever it is in your body. Okay. And as you focus on that, does it have a shape? Does it have a color? And just let whatever that is just come up. And just think about that. Notice, imagine that discomfort, that emotional pain, that physical discomfort, whatever it is you're focusing on. Wherever it is, what color is it? What shape is it? Just notice that. Imagine it's almost as if you could see it if you were looking at that part. And when you've got that, what I want you to do is I want you to like look right here. I want you to just follow my hand across the screen. As you just follow that back and forth with your eyes. And I want you to get ready because I'm going to just reach right in right about now. And I'm just going to grab whatever that is, wherever that discomfort is, wherever that emotional pain, whatever it is. And I want you to just imagine what it feels like for me. Just grab a hold of it, whatever that shape, whatever that color is. And just imagine that I'm pulling it out. I'm just pulling it right out through the screen now. And just imagine what it feels like to just feel all of that getting pulled out, dragged out by my hand right now until it just pops out now. Just throw it away. And now I want you to go back to that feeling and just give yourself a scan again. And just notice where that is. Where's that gone now? If it was at a 6, is it a 0 now? Is it just gone? Is it the more you try to find it, the more it just seems to fade away, drift away? It just disappears further and further because you can no longer find that discomfort, that emotional pain, whatever that was. But just really try to find it. And just notice the more you try to find it, the more it fades away and drifts away now. And just notice how much that's been reduced now that that's gone. So I hope that helped. Leave a comment. Let me know, where's that discomfort gone now? Where's that emotional pain gone now? Where's that physical discomfort gone now? Whatever it was you were focusing on. Let me know how that worked for you in the comments below. Don't forget to like and follow for more. And thanks for watching. And till next time.